Mr. Vizier wanted to shake things up a bit, and settling down in a graveyard sounded unusual. He chose Silkweaver the Spider as his advisor for this mission and headed out. Coincidentally, his first adversary was an arachnid as well, Arachnor, the Weaver of Nightmares. Apparently, this giant spider was lucky enough to eat a necromancer and gain their powers. It was time to end its terror. As usual, 3 water wells, a few trees, and a few wheat farms were placed. The interesting bit was the building for ruin scouts. These units would unearth the crypts dotting the battlefield. Since the threat level was 0 this time, Mr. Vizier gave his army of grunts another chance. The mages of our kingdom found a way to raise soldiers from the dead. The issue was the ritual also brought our enemies back. It was not reliable enough to be useful. By royal decree, the spell and all related notes were burned. Ruin scouts needed to be actively told where to go. It reminded Mr. Vizier how incapable the common folk were. His gaze was not enough. The ruin scouts were incapable of fighting. He noticed this when a group of goblins chased them to death. It was a sad sight. Defenses were all gone. Again, the strategy of deploying grunts was proving challenging, even at this lowest threat level. His only option was to endure and hope that things would eventually turn around. Redrum the Fiery. Mr. Vizier never really liked this guy. What was a battle mage doing at a cooking competition? The royal court looked at the dish he prepared with hesitation. Knowing a thing or two about diplomacy and a healthy dose of playfulness, Mr. Vizier faked a magical food allergy. As usual, peasants were having a tough time surviving the battles. Their sacrifices were enough to hold the line for now. The next step was to bring madmen onto the battlefield. They were more durable. Their erratic behavior confused the enemies, and for some reason, they were increasing morale. At this point, they were the bread and butter of a grunt army, thought Mr. Vizier. And there it was again, the inescapable, indescribable figurine. Mr. Vizier was almost sure he was cursed. The legendary knight from the era of Monty Python appeared before them. He was either legendary because of how incapable a warrior he was, or because of his stubbornness in living on despite being hacked into pieces. Mr. Vizier's cemetery needed such a relentless warrior, so he recruited the Dark Knight. The cemetery trader dealt in relics. The ruin scouts were able to gather them from the crypts, and they were awarded after battles. All the town denarii had to be bought to purchase kingdom-level upgrades. This felt almost like a cheat. The army of grunts was approaching the critical mass it needed to achieve domination. Keeping them alive was proving very difficult. Mr. Vizier was missing a few pieces of the puzzle. Arachnor, the Weaver of Nightmares, approached the gates, extending its strangely elongated limbs. The indescribable figurine stood against it fearlessly and kept it away from the town walls while the troops were being produced. Its mighty blows shook the earth, throwing the troops off balance. Without much effort, Arachnor was defeated. An artifact that increased maximum unit hit points was more than welcome. The Black Swordsman's camp became available. It was one of the missing pieces of an effective grunt army. A mentally disturbed knight dramatically declared, "One does not simply walk into the graveyard and take the artifacts. Its black gates are guarded by more than just skeletons." Although everyone at the court nodded, Mr. Vizier was not fazed at all. It was not like they were after some ring of power. He decided to go all in and raised an undead to pillage even more furiously. Mordain, the peacekeeper of the dead, a being made for pure bureaucracy over the dead, He was not fond of Mr. Vizier plundering the crypts and disturbing the dead. In due time, he was to attack the settlement with full force. The battles were becoming very chaotic. It was never really clear if Mr. Vizier's defensive forces would come out on top. Nevertheless, they were very fun to watch. Just before the final battle, the trader brought a poor man's relic with him. It increased the potency of all grunt units. Mr. Vizier was now feeling confident. Mordain came with a bunch of undead, both walking and crawling. Sometimes he would teleport out of the battle and raise a horde of undead to fight for him. His tactics were effective and mindful. Mr. Vizier enjoyed fighting against this adversary. The most incredible thing Mr. Vizier saw was that the defensive line drawn by his grunt forces never budged. His warriors kept the line, and they were victorious. With the town denarii he gathered, he acquired the rights to the second and third royal quests. He was not sure where to head next. Now it was time for rest.